Awesome.
And okay, looks like we have this thing live. So welcome to the Metabolic Motivation Show. We are super excited to have Dai Manuel coming at us and joining us today from Canada. And what I really like about Dai is he is doing a lot of cool stuff. He's a dad, got two girls. He is a husband. He also has 20 years in the health and fitness industry, is an entrepreneur, CEO of Fitness Town. He also finds time to be a CrossFit athlete and brand strategist. And Dai, one of your big things is functionally fit. Why don't we start with that? What does functionally fit mean to you?
Well, I thank you, Dan, first for that intro, as well as I'm really honored to be on the show. So thank you
Our
for the
pleasure.
opportunity. And functionally fit, and I really like to emphasize the fun aspect of that. Like anything, I've been coaching people, not only in health and fitness and wellness, but nutrition and a lot of other aspects of just living a healthy, active life.
Sure.
And the big thing I like to emphasize with people is that you got to find activities that are fun for you. Because, let's think about it. It's really easy to burn out. We can only push ourselves to do things that we don't want to do for so long. And that's why a lot of diets fail. It's like, don't eat this,
Sure.
measure this. It's not a sustainable lifestyle. It's not fun. And when it's fun, I find that people have a higher aptitude to succeed, as well as they have a higher drive to want to succeed and to really stay that path. And functional fitness, it's what I believe, being able to age well and do the things that we love to do now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. And you really need a health and wellness plan in place now that you're investing in daily to ensure that you get those dividends paid out, 30, 40 years down the road. And that's what I mean by functional fitness and really the fun aspect of that.
Fantastic, man. Yeah, fun is, I'm with you. It's so important to do that. And I think it's a missing element for so many people. I know with a lot of my wellness coaching customers, that's one of the first things that I look for is I ask them actually in our interview process, hey, what is fun for you? What do you do for fun? And sometimes I have to go back to, hey, what did you do for fun as a child? Because, a lot of times fun, our society is sort of structured to make fun associated with, consumerism and, it's whether it's consuming, professional sports, which, hey, I love my professional sports on at times, but then consuming advertising and et cetera, et cetera. So let's take a step back before we go more into that. Tell us, briefly, I think people would like to know, how did you get into all of this? Just briefly, your brief backstory.
Sure. Well, I'll be as brief as I can. And, I'm 38 now. And to put this into a little bit of context, when I don't come from a health and fitness background. At least my early childhood wasn't set on that path. A lot of people that get into the fitness industry, the majority have an active lifestyle that they've really lived their entire life. And, whether it be a sports at a certain level, they've got that competitive edge. Myself, from the age of 9 to 14, for a 5-year period of my life, I was classified by medical professionals as morbidly obese. So it was interesting coming from that spectrum, because especially, with the press that's been out this week, it's a $2 trillion issue globally now, and over a third of the world's population is classified as overweight. You got to realize, let's go back. I'm 38 now. When I was overweight, childhood and obesity wasn't typically in the same sentence together. It was almost an oxymoron to have the two words situated side by side in a sentence.
Wow, man, that's true.
And so all the stigmas that are associated with someone that is obese was very prevalent for my early childhood, especially during those developmental years. However, at age 15, I made a lifestyle change, and it wasn't rocket science. And I tell people that I coach, it wasn't any miracle pill. It wasn't any special strategy or $1 million plan. It was literally starting to eat a little bit smarter, starting to move my body more regularly. And I repeated it often,
Right.
daily. And lo and behold, I made a transformation, lost the weight, grew, and really just started to be more active in living a functionally fit life. And then later on in the years, when I moved out to Vancouver from the east coast of Canada, Ontario, I realized that my pursuit in the sciences and it just wasn't driving my boat, and I got into more of the arts, critical thinking, philosophy, English lit, and writing. But at the same note, while I was going to school, I was personal training, teaching spin classes. I got into martial arts and rock climbing and all the usual outdoor fun stuff that you can do in the west coast of Canada or the U.S. And I started driving an income from fitness, helping people get fit. And I
Sure.
was like, man, this is so cool. You
Yes.
mean I can actually support myself and potentially a family later by doing something that I love? And it was pretty easy. So now I've been doing this for 18 years, and I have a number of different business verticals that I work within, but it's all underneath that umbrella of helping people lead a healthy, functionally fit lifestyle through a foundation built on health. And yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. That's a real quick rundown of
Yeah.
how I sort of got into this, and I've been doing it for 18 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, great story, man. And it's I think it is quite unusual, as you mentioned, to come from an obesity, an obese childhood in certain ways, and certainly would looking at your photos on the web, you looked it would I think most people would be pretty surprised to see you now
Yeah.
because you sort of pretty much look like a fitness model on the photos there, especially the
Well, it's funny. I
futurist,
hadn't.
the one with your wife, the futuristic kind of artistic
Oh
photo.
yeah,
That's kind of a cool
yeah,
thing there. So
yeah. It's
cool. Well,
cool
my
shot.
next question, I think you probably have just addressed it, but I usually like to, was going to ask you about your biggest life and business challenges. But so beyond, the obesity portion of your life that you overcame that challenge, what would be some other challenges that you've overcome?
Well, there's been a number of them. Let's talk about more so the business side of things first, and
Sure,
if there's some time, I'll get into some of the personal challenges
sure,
that
sure.
I still face today. That I think obstacles are always in our way, but whether you look at them as obstacles or opportunities, and you figure out ways to get around them, I'm a big believer in that sort of mindset.
Yes.
But on the business side of things, I've had lots of challenges in my life, but in particular, when I first started getting into personal training, I think a lot of personal trainers experience this, and a lot of business owners as well. And in particular, where you work in a career that is based on exchanging time for dollars, it's very challenging because you have to be at the whim of your clients. As a trainer, it wasn't ever a fixed schedule of working 9 to 5.
Oh, yes.
And if you're trying to start a family and have, a lifestyle that matches someone that wants many of our clients that we train want to be healthier and fitter, and we're doing everything to help them do that. But sometimes the lifestyle that we lived as a trainer didn't quite match what we were providing to our clients based on this inability to quite frankly measure up our schedule. So that was always a challenge. And so when I got into equipment sales, it was more of a structured sales environment, obviously becoming a provider of more the tools that people could use to train. And I realized that it was a performance-based pay structure, and I really had a knack for it, and I enjoyed it. I was still fulfilling my filling my bucket. I was feeling really good about what I was doing, but on the same note, I had a more of a structured schedule. So I sort of segued from training into that,
Hmm.
and that's something I've been doing pretty much straight on through. And so that was a challenge, and I think a lot of business owners structure. You hear about this work-life balance, and I keep hearing that phrase referenced. And I'm like, I don't know, I haven't found that yet.
Sure.
And it's like time management, right? I just think it's a myth. It's one of those things. Time is that intangible. You can never just really grab hold of it and start to hoard more of it, right? It's always fleeting. And as I age, and it's funny, as I'm nearing 40 now, I'm like, wow. And I'm looking at my kids. They are that proof that I'm getting older now.
Right.
where before, kids are interesting that way. I love them to death, but man, they keep getting older, and they remind me that I am too. So, but I don't know if you want me to dive into some of my personal challenges,
Yeah,
but
well, sure, sure.
that,
I think it would
yeah,
be, yeah, I think it would be helpful because one of the things I've realized
sure,
as I'm getting close to 50 is so many times people look, people will say, and I have always sort of been athletic, not a great athlete, but of a struggling, blue collar athlete. That's more or less my profile. But anyway, I was lucky to grow up with that in a way. And a lot of times people will say, well, you're in shape because you were never out of shape. So it's easy
right,
for you. You don't understand us. So that's why I think your story is very helpful because you represent the proof that that's not true. It's not, your
yeah,
past doesn't equal your future.
correct.
And I always tell
Yeah,
people your lifestyle today is going to equal the future you that you're creating every day with your choices, with your habits and routines. So I think, yeah, any challenges you want to share, that's I think will be helpful to people.
well, even right now, in the last few years, I was recently diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, and it's
Hmm.
something called autoimmune neutropenia, and I sort of happened upon it. I guess they figure I've been dealing with it for a long time, but just in a nutshell, what it is we have something in our blood that's called neutrophils. It's part of our immune system, and it's what neutralizes a lot of time bacteria and stuff in our blood. If you get a scrape, it's what that white stuff is a lot of the time,
Right.
and I'm at pretty much zero on that in my body. And it
Wow.
wasn't until I did a Tough Mudder and I got the chafing of the thighs, and post Tough Mudder, I got in the hot tub, and I guess I got infected, and I was actually hospitalized for a week, got really sick, bad fever, and that sent up some triggers for them saying, man, there's something wrong with this dude. And 3 bone marrow tests later, biopsies, they've isolated it to what they're pretty confident is a disorder, an autoimmune disorder. And so, I take a medication weekly. It's an injection. Uh, it would be really easy, and I bring this up, and I use it as an example for a lot of people I still coach. It's amazing we can take these big health obstacles that we're all going to encounter one at some point. Some maybe more than others, and it all
Sure.
depends on how what that base level of health or wellness is for us. And fortunately, I had a fairly strong foundation based on all the years. I guess it's been masking a lot of the symptoms. And I wondered why I would always get sick, and why it would take a bruise to heal so long,
Right.
and never put up any triggers. I just was like, oh well, it's just who I am. And it wasn't until it hit that critical point, and fortunately they were able to look after it. But it'd be really easy for me to use it as an excuse or as a reason, to curtail my active lifestyle, and I've just learned to work around it. And I think a lot of people out there, they run up against these big health obstacles, and it's they choose the latter. They decide, okay, now I got to really take a step back. When meanwhile, I think that's the worst thing they can do, rather than trying to figure out a workaround to get that level of health back up. So that's more on the personal side, and it's I like to share that just because, hey
Yeah.
man, it's I'm thankfully I have a good level of health, and it mitigates a lot of the other associated symptoms with my disorder, my disease, and whatever. It's I'm not going to let it slow me down, man.
Sure. Now, speaking of, since inflammation is such a big thing, I was just
Yeah,
last
yeah,
week there was a Dr. Amy Myers who we're trying to work out an interview with her in the future. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's a big functional medicine practitioner and doctor down in Texas, and she had an event, a web event called the Autoimmune Summit.
I heard
If I
about that.
remember
I
right,
heard about that.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
her program,
Oh wow.
and so I think it's it's something you might check out. They're going to be
Yeah.
I think she has part of it is obviously it's going to be a digital product. It is,
Sure.
and but she has some of it. Some of it is available for free as a promotional
Right.
thing. So you might check that out.
Yeah.
And of course diet is and nutrition is such a big part of that. How do you
Yeah.
what do you find works for yourself with autoimmunity, and then also with your customers in general? Could we maybe talk a little bit about nutrition?
Yeah, sure. I mean, hey, I'll be the first to tell you, you talked about it earlier, and I came from a state of unhealth, and we get really comfortable in these states that we find ourselves, right? Like,
Yes,
eventually it hits a certain length of time, we acclimatize ourselves to whatever conditions that we find ourselves. So if you get in a state of unhealth like I was, as that morbidly obese child, early teen, I didn't know any other option, right? I didn't really have any reference point, and as time goes past, those reference points dim, and you forget what it feels to feel good, and
sure.
to feel healthy, to have that energy, and to just really not have the aches and pains. So later on, I was a big advocate for the zone diet. I found that it worked really well for me. Dr. Barry Spears,
Hmm.
it's a quite an old program, but it was all about balancing out my macronutrients. And what that taught me was blood sugar, and how
Yes,
to really mitigate my blood sugar, and to control it, and to prevent a lot of those dips and peaks and valleys, if you will, in my energy cycles. And that, I found, then curtailed a lot of my cravings,
oh
and
yeah,
I started to exercise. I just became much more productive. And then later on, I started to experiment with the paleo diet when it started becoming more popular 6-7 years ago, and just experimenting with eliminating gluten and wheat from my diet, and then also eliminating sugar, and cutting back on dairy and whey intake, and through experimentation and just seeing how my body responded, I was able to find a happy place, which is sort of a hybrid of the zone and paleo, and it's worked wonders for me. And I don't necessarily coach my clients to pursue that path. Again, it's experimentation. It's figuring out, well, what's going to work for your body, for
sure.
you. And I find that telling people, no, you can't eat that, it just never works.
Yeah,
It just doesn't. And people feel shamed. They feel very negative towards anything that's really diet, and that word's been warped by media, and just
sure.
it's lost the original meaning behind the word. But yeah, that for myself has worked really well. And then with clients, I recommend, if you can cut back the sugar, you're going to have treats. It's okay, but recognize it's a special occasion. And whenever you eat something that you feel that you shouldn't be eating, just own it. It's like, okay, I'm going to eat this piece of cheesecake.
Sure.
This is my moment to enjoy this, and enjoy it. And don't think about it. But don't eat a whole cake, and and don't forego your scheduled commitment to yourself to move your body, based on making a bad eating choice. Because it's not really bad. It's only bad if you feel it's bad, and if you. So I try to really have a good relationship with food. That's what I'm trying to say.
Sure. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great point, because there's a lot of dysfunctional. My mom's a psychologist, and one of her
Oh, okay.
big things that she's dealt with in later years has been just a lot of not necessarily eating disorders with her mostly female clientele, but just unhealthy relationships with food. Just the idea of this is prohibited always, and you're a bad person if and you
Yeah.
get into
Right.
all this guilt and all this just
Yeah.
crazy. So yeah, it's important to have that balance. So so anyway, speaking of, let's just one step back into with your
Sure.
dealing with clients, because I find this is something I really enjoy hearing how other coaches.
Mm.
What has they found that's been successful. So it sounds like your approach is more step by step, sort of bringing someone into a healthy lifestyle in small bits and pieces. Would that be the way? It more than going cold turkey and trying to change everything at once, or is that how? Can you tell us about your
Yeah.
approach to change with your customers?
Sure. I'm very type A, as they say. I'm sort of one of those guys that's just like, I'll just jump in. I will go cold turkey,
Hmm.
and but that works for my personality.
Yes,
It resonates really well with me. But I recognize everybody's different, and some people have to be coached differently. And I think the biggest thing for me is trying to find a plan that is sustainable, like long term. I'm talking a lifestyle solution
Yes.
that's going to benefit the client that they want, that their why, their driving factors are really solidified. Because if I have people coming, I've got a wedding in 3 months that I need to fit into my dress, I'm just like, I don't know if I'm the best person to help you, because I just know statistically after that wedding, this is going to be a band-aid solution. Your driving factor, your choice for making this decision to make some changes isn't big enough. It's not cemented enough with you. you
Sure.
know,
It's a short term, very short
yeah.
term.
And a lot of programs out there I find really speak to that market, and there's nothing wrong with that's great. There's great business opportunities if you cater to that market, but I'm more about long-term lifestyle solutions. And to briefly answer your question, when I'm working with a client, I try to find a solution that fits into their already busy lifestyle, rather than reinventing their lifestyle to fit a fitness program or a health
Right.
program.
Oh, I like that.
Because
That's well said.
yeah, because I find that we're all busy, and we get busier and busier, and it's amazing. We have all these productivity tools to help us,
Sure.
and it seems like we're still getting busier. And so my approach is interesting. Dan Butner, who was commissioned by National Geographic, he did the Blue Zone research, and
Yes.
they looked at those 5 cities around the globe where they have the highest percentage of people that live to be 100 years and older. Remarkable study. It was fascinating, some of the information he found. But when you look at these pockets, these little global pockets, these communities, there was 9 overlapping themes that these centurions had that were common in their lifestyles. And number one was that they moved regularly,
Yes.
and obviously 2 was they also didn't overeat, and they belonged to a community. They believed in they had a belief system that was outside themselves. When you look at these 9 themes, it's amazing. But being someone in North America, I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, this is common sense
Ooh,
stuff. Everybody should
right.
have this in their life. No wonder that they live so long and they have so little stress. And that when you start looking at all these diseases that are affecting us, and the Western society, and then you look at 4 of these places were in the Eastern hemisphere, and it's like, man, this makes perfect sense. What are we doing?
Oh
We got it all
yeah.
backwards. And so I try to educate my clients on some of these findings and some of the stats, and not to be doom and gloom, but just to open their eyes that there
There
are
is another way.
solutions. Yeah, absolutely. But I want them to understand that it's within their grasp. Like they have complete control over it. But it is a decision. You talked about it earlier. It's those daily decisions we make that will form our habits, and those habits will eventually form our lifestyle. And so, are you doing the best that you can with what you've got? And so that's sort of my approach.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I think we've got a lot of similar ideas on that, and
Right.
one of the things I've found is one idea I've taken from Tim Ferriss is and other people. I mean, I think Tim Ferriss is
Yeah.
great at taking great ideas from other people and then simplifying them even more so, and then getting them out there. And so one of that I found is just the idea of scripting your morning and eliminating decisions so that you don't
Right.
because I think B.F. Skinner out at Stanford has got some great info on this, and he's a psychologist and behavioral modification guy. And one of his ideas is that if you imagine you have 100 units of decision power a day, and every decision
Yeah.
you make, you're burning up some of that currency or some of that reserve. So
Right.
therefore, it's much better if we can standardize our routine as much as we can, so that when we have to deal with those unexpected, stressors or decisions that
Yeah.
do pop up, or if we need to make a business decision that's a complex business decision or relationship decision, as my wife oftentimes tells me, stop thinking about your business and your career, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure that you've never heard that yourself,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's one that I hear. I think most entrepreneurial people,
Yeah.
especially guys, we have to deal with that. But I'm getting off track myself, so let's
Oh, that's
get
great.
back
That's great.
to.
You're right on. You're right on with that.
Actually, I think most of. Well, let me ask you one that as a Canadian, and this is showing my ignorance as a North American, although I've lived abroad in Europe now for since
Yeah.
'98.
Wow.
How does the Canadian lifestyle use? Well, I'm assuming it's quite similar as far as lifestyle
Hmm.
things, but I'm sure there are differences. Is there, from your perspective, is there any major differences in the average Canadian's lifestyle relating to health and health practices that compared to North Americans? I mean, compared to
Yeah,
Americans?
sure. I mean, where I'm situated in Canada, I'm west coast
Sure.
of Canada. I'm literally 2 hours north
Of
of Seattle.
Seattle.
So when you look at the Seattle, just from a climate standpoint, Vancouver is very similar. With the exception, we have Whistler, which is again another hour and a half, 2 hour drive. I can be in the mountains with the snow,
Yeah.
and so we do have some options here. But we're a climate that's very similar to Seattle. So we have a rainy season, and we see a lot of
Yeah.
rain. But we have beautiful summers, and they're not overly hot, and so we've got a nice balance. So we have a very active sect, I guess, if you will,
Sure.
a group, because we have so many outdoor activities, just West Coast period. But then when there's other pockets of Canada that are very cold, from right now, I mean, Buffalo, New York is being hammered right now with a massive snowstorm. I think they've had like 10 feet in the last week. It's like crazy. It's on lockdown. And they're just across the way from Niagara Falls, and which is again another part of Canada, and Toronto. So there right now, it's like, man, all hell's breaking loose with these snowstorms. So we have quite the climate in Canada, and that will dictate sometimes the choices that people make when it comes
Sure.
to activity, and it reflects obviously in a lot of the choices that are being made. But I feel it's more of a global thing now than
Sure.
anything. Canada seems to always want to catch up with everybody else, and we've been doing so with obesity and a lot of the other health issues, whether it's various types of cancers or diabetes, even childhood obesity. The trends are going the same direction that it is globally. So we have certain lifestyles. Our healthcare system is great, but we pay for it on the front end. Like I tell that to my American friends and people in other parts of the world. I'm like, yeah, you get free healthcare. I'm like, it's not free. I don't know where you
Yeah.
read that it was free. It's not free. Trust me, it comes off on our taxes.
So,
So we're paying for it.
so a lot more. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's a good point. So your Canadian taxes would be generally higher. That may be a
yeah,
big difference
yeah.
there. So yeah, that's very interesting stuff. So great. Well, let's time is flying by here. This is. I
Yeah.
think we could go for
That's great.
hours, but
Yeah, I think
let's
so.
talk about a little bit about some of the things. You've done a lot of different business things, and some of the maybe you could tell us a little bit about. The about Fitness Town. What's tell us the story on briefly on Fitness Town and what's going on there.
Yeah, yeah, Fitness Town, we're an equipment provider, and whether it's fitness equipment, accessories, supplements, apparel, we're really, when people ask me, well, what's Fitness Town? I'm like, it's literally your one-stop fitness shop. Like we have pretty much everything. We have all the major brands. We're a 8 retail store chain in Western Canada. We also have an e-commerce site, a couple of distribution companies where we import and distribute products across Canada. But we specialize in the tools, really, to help not only business clients, but also just consumers, home end consumers. So we're B2C and B2B, and we've been growing steadily. And I've been in a partnership, one of the founding members of that since 2004. Prior to that, I was in some other companies that were in the same field, but
Sure.
an opportunity knocked to partner up with someone who was my mentor at the time, who still is a mentor today. We're partners. He's the CEO. I'm the chief operating officer, and we're sort of the left and right hand of our organization. So it's been a lot of fun. It's providing me some great opportunities, but again, through servicing a customer and a client, and really trying to help them get healthy with different modalities. I started blogging in 2008, and with the idea that a lot of my content was client driven. It was just the questions I was being asked all the time. You get it all the time.
Sure.
People send you a tweet, "Hey, how do I get a six pack?" Like,
Yeah.
how do I lose this? How do I fix this? And so I started to respond to these rather than just a quick email. I would document my response and make a blog post out of it. And sure enough, since 2008, my blog's been doubling each year, and it just became another avenue for me to connect with people. And I've really adopted social media it's an integral part of everything I do. It's my way to communicate my message, but also to really hopefully impact people positively globally now. It's not just, see, that was the thing with brick and mortar retail. I was confined to a geographical trade
Sure.
area where the online, and this is what you've been playing in this arena for a long time. I was late to the game, but I love it. I think it's fantastic, and it's really allowed me some fantastic opportunities to meet some amazing people and really impact some lives. So that's sort of where things are going now. I do a lot of speaking engagements annually. I also have a book on the works, and I do a lot of consulting for some other companies on social media engagement strategies and branding and even brick and mortar operations. I'm a retail guy, so I got a lot of experience in a lot of different areas, and now I just really, it's all about helping, giving back, and if I can do that, hey, I sleep really well at night, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
fantastic. And you've got, and that's now. What about with regards to the whole the some people struggle with, a lot of us struggle with work-life balance, and with
yeah,
so many things going on. I've also got a book idea that I've yet to. I'm starting to outline it now, but my wife is
awesome.
already telling me, well, if you do, how are you going to do that and not cut back on family? How do you keep that
Yeah.
how do you keep the work life balance?
Hey, the work-life balance, we talked about it earlier. It's one of those. I think it's almost. I equate it to when I ask clients the hard question. So, hey, when do you want to get started with this lifestyle change? When do you want to get started with defining the new you? And a lot of them are like, tomorrow.
Yeah.
and
Yes.
I'm like, tomorrow? What do you mean? No, you're talking about tomorrow as if it's a land that's out there that we're just never going to get to, because
Yes.
it's this thing. And I equate work life balance to the same thing. But I've been very fortunate that my wife and best friend Christie, she is very much like me, and that can be a negative at times because we do butt heads. We're
Yeah.
both very stubborn and confident people, and we want the same for our children. But we recognize that family is first and foremost. But we work as a team, and so she knows I have certain projects and commitments. We share calendars. We're very transparent with what's going on in both of our lives, and we have a
Right.
lot of overlap. We help each other, and the same applies with our kids. We try to communicate that with them, so they know, hey, Dad's got a deadline. He's got to help this client. He's got to do this. But after that, we've got our time,
Yeah. There
and
you go.
so I block commitments of
Yes.
time. And so I don't really think about it as time management, and I only have X amount of hours. I'm like, I only have so many commitments in a week that I can fill up. Everything outside of that is family. It's health. It's fitness. It's what I need for me and my family. And then everything else is commitments. Because you can manage commitments.
Yes.
You can't manage time, right? And
Exactly.
so that's really I've had to learn through a lot of trial and error, and a lot of heated conversations with my wife and business partners and friends. And
Sure.
hey, it's a work in progress. Is it perfect? Never, but
Right.
that's life, and it's okay. So that's in a nutshell what's been working well for us. And I look at life in a very interesting way. I do have a lot of buckets or pillars, if you will, that support a roof, and I have this idea that my life is a house, but the foundation is built on health, and
Right.
that is always a focus for our family and our closest friends. It's I hammer that one home all the time. It's like, because if that foundation isn't rock solid, yeah, you're on unstable ground, and you're just waiting for a storm to hit. And when that hits, that house is coming down,
Right. I like that. I
and
like that.
everything else doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that's all referenced in my book that's coming out. And, a lot of it's just knowledge, it's experience, and the program that I've developed around it's more of a lifestyle program, which is just there to help people, help them get right with them, and hopefully develop a life of fun and functionally fit, healthy
Fantastic.
lifestyle. So
Do you have
yeah,
a
that's it. Mm-hmm.
Do you have a date
Yeah.
and title?
Yeah, the title's not finalized, but this is based on. It's not really a fitness book, even though it's got a fitness component to it. I like to think it's a lifestyle program or a lifestyle solution for people that's
Right.
sustainable. But I've created a landing page, and I have people going through the program right now. It's power3030.com. It's basically,
power3030.com. We'll put that in the show
yeah.
notes as
Oh,
well.
thanks. I appreciate
Sure,
that. And
sure.
it's literally committing 2% of your day, so 30 minutes a day, 15 minutes to fitness,
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes to mindfulness or meditation, and
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes of personal development. And you do that for 30 days straight, 30 minutes a day. And I've created basically it's a daily email that goes out and it outlines what you're doing. So it's very much like you talked about structuring those commitments,
Yes.
structuring your day. This is your first 30 minutes of the day. This is what I encourage people to do. I'm an early morning guy. I believe that, as a lot of gurus out there, eat that frog, do the hardest thing first. If the
Yes.
hardest thing for you is to get fitness in the day, it should be the first thing that you do to ensure that you get that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like that's a
yeah,
great idea. I like that idea. I'm kind of fascinated by the idea of communicating less more in less words.
yes, yes,
Because of Twitter, that's
yeah,
my
right,
because
right.
I tend to speak in more words, so I like that power 3030. So
Cool.
very
Right on.
great.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam.
Good. Yeah, well done, man. Well done. So, how about any other? Just going finishing up my list of questions here because we're coming up on time,
Sure.
any other future goals or projects you'd like to share with people?
I'm always open to collaborations. I love that. I like con- creating joint venture opportunities, and I listen. Everywhere I've gotten to in life is based on working with others and learning from others. Especially, I realize I don't know very much. Period. I just don't. But I'm always open to learning, and I
Sure.
love to learn new things. But I recognize there's experts out there that are very good at what they do, and it would take me a lifetime to get to that level of knowledge that they've have firsthand through experience. So I look for opportunities where what I'm strong in and what others are strong in, finding that happy ground where we can work together and really create something awesome. and
Fantastic.
so do I have anything in the works? Yeah, there's always a few things in the works. But is anything solidified? Not necessarily. I try to keep my options open. The big focus is obviously the book, continuing to grow my brick and mortar operations and blogging. I love to blog as a way to really just share good, valuable information that can hopefully impact somebody. If there's a call to action and it influences them just enough to make one
Sure.
better decision, implement one new habit, man, I feel good. So
Good. Oh, that's great. What about? I did notice you have another. I guess another website, another business. It's WOD247.net.
yeah,
And
yeah.
tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I guess I've been blogging for since 2008, and I've got a nice readership, and I interact a lot with people through different avenues online, and I saw similar themes coming up all the time, and just to verify some of these themes that were coming up, these reasons why people couldn't maintain a healthy lifestyle, I did a reader survey. So I had 1,000 responses in 48 hours, and it was great feedback. But it really came around to the idea of what holds you back from implementing health, fitness, wellness, better choices into your lifestyle.
Right.
And I found a lot of the time what it came down to was people don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it. They're confused about why they're doing it. And ultimately they feel like they're very alone,
Yes.
lacking community, lacking accountability. And so what I did was I took all that information and some of the programs that I've been giving away for free, and I continue to give away for free, but I've created an online community for people to connect, follow some programs, very basic. It's nothing overly intense. It's not overly complicated, but it is neat 3-week revolving programs. There's a whole pile of them, but it's a community piece that keeps people engaged, and it's a membership based site, and
Yes.
it allows people to work out literally in the comfort of their room. Or I have a lot of clients that travel a lot, so the workouts are specific that you can do it in a hotel room. You don't need any equipment. It's literally, which to a lot of people it seems counterintuitive considering one of my primary businesses is in the equipment business.
Sure.
But I don't like that being an excuse because I hear it all the time. Oh, I don't have the funds. I don't have the ability to buy equipment or use equipment at home. I don't want that to be an obstacle for people.
Sure.
And if you learn how to use your body, man, you'll never be without equipment. So
Yes. Yeah.
it's so cool, and that's a big belief of mine. Like with functional fitness, I'm all about being able to move my body without weight very well, and that way, as you age, man, you can handle anything that life throws at you, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, recently we've been getting more and more into kettlebells with our
Oh,
customers
awesome!
and our sales. And it's so convenient because I mean, what do you
Yeah,
need? You need about 3 square feet.
yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah,
you can knock yourself out with that. And so this morning I knew I had a busy day, and I decided, I'd rather work out for an hour, but I've
yeah.
learned, hey, if I have 15 minutes, I'll do 15 minutes, and actually I did
Love
14 minutes, and then got in the shower, and it's been a great
it.
day. So I actually
Oh,
did
that's
it
awesome.
in the next to the bathroom to save time. Just my wife was
Uh,
like, "You're crazy." I said, "Yeah, but hey, I'm going to feel great today."
Yeah, and you know what? You've got it right. That was your 1% solution. I've got some free documents I put together, free programs that are just that. It's 1% of your day committed to fitness, and it's 15 minutes of moving with purpose, right? Like it's not stopping. It's not like going to the gym where you're there for an hour, but you might work out for 10 minutes, right? Like you
Sure.
see that all the time. It's like doing a set and then you sit around talking for 5 minutes. It's really figuring out how to maximize that time. And man, you just hit the nail. Yeah, that's great. Right on, Dan.
Yeah. Well, I got that from from trying to get over some, the idea that something I've dealt with, and I think a lot of people do, is the all or nothing. It's like, well,
Right.
I need to do, I need to do now. If I don't have an hour, well, I'm just going to put it off until tomorrow. And that used to be the way I would look at it, and a lot of people would look at it. And what I've realized, especially in helping others, is that it's really important to help people learn to feel like they have to. We have to train our own brains, right? So we actually
Yeah.
become the type of person that does whatever it is we want to do. And the
Right.
simplest way to do that is to make it really, really easy. It's like there's a dentist in my family, and he used to tell us, well, the best way to learn to floss, you may have heard this, it's to floss. You know what it is? One tooth a day.
Oh, nice.
So if that's your goal, is
Yeah.
one tooth a day, well, then you rapidly will adopt that habit because it's so
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you start to accept that you're the kind of person who flosses, which I
Right.
used to hate to floss my teeth. I still don't like it, but now I've adopted that. So
That's awesome. I love
so
it.
anyway, so I do that with my customers now. It's like, okay, what we're going to do? We're going to do every day. You're going to do one push up or one air squat when
Nice.
you're traveling. That's it. You don't have to
Yeah.
do anything else, but just one to start with. And then after you
Yeah.
do one, then we're going to go. The next day you do two. And the next day
Yeah.
you do
Yeah.
three, and then so they eventually get that where they are so accustomed to, they adopt that as part of their personality. It sort of gets into
Yes.
their hardwiring or whatever
I
it
love
might
it.
be. So
It's so true.
yeah.
That's great.
Anyway, well, gosh, this has been great. I think I've gone through pretty much everything I wanted to talk to you about,
Awesome.
and is there anything else that you'd like to share with us? Just to some. Well, here's one. Sorry. I did.
Sure.
What would you be most, looking back on your life now, your business life and your personal life, or both? What would be the thing you're most proud of?
It's got to be my family. Like, oh, sorry. From a personal standpoint, that's it's clearly my family. But from a professional, I think it was taking that leap of faith and realizing that, hey, I think I know I can make a go at being a fitness professional. And I think there's a lot of people that are sort of in limbo with making that commitment to chase their passion.
Sure.
And because we have real worldly concerns, will I be able to put a roof over my head and food in my belly? And if you can handle that,
Yes.
and maybe some difficulties in that process as you become established, I think everybody should chase what they most are passionate about. And that whole idea of leading with why. Simon Sinek, Anthony Robbins, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of these personal development gurus, if you will,
Hmm.
that really hammer that home. Like getting really right with your belief system and your values, and then your actions will be proof, social proof of those beliefs. And if you can drive an income from those value systems, man, you're never going to work a day in your life, right? Like it's just living, it's having fun. And so I'm very proud that I took that leap of faith and went for it. I was all in, and looking back now, it was scary. Hey man, I was terrified. I was like, shit, I got rent due, and oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like there was a lot of stress, but I stayed the course and I kept working at it, and it eventually it worked itself into my life and became who I am. So chase it, man. Just get after it, right?
That's awesome, man. Well, great, man. Congratulations on on all your accomplishments up to now. I'm sure there's a lot more in the future to
Thanks.
come, and
Thank you.
also keeping that, having your family, and because that certainly does take time and energy. So hats off to you, man.
Thanks, Dan. I really appreciate it. And again, thanks for the opportunity. It was great chatting with you today.
Sure thing. And, this is just so you can, maybe you can, so you'll know this will go up. This will be initially on YouTube, and then we're going to be launching on iTunes in January. Okay. So we're still actually working out the technical side of that, and kind of building our own capabilities up to do that, and learning what's up with that. But we're going to have this both as an audio and a video podcast on YouTube, or rather iTunes. But in the meantime, it'll go up on YouTube. So
perfect. Well, let me know, and I'd love to get the word out there.
Sure.
And, just keep me posted. So and anything I can do to help, like just hey, ask, man.
Yeah. Same
happy to help out.
Same here. We'll be looking forward to hearing more about your book, any of your programs.
Thanks.
And happy to share. We don't have the social media following that you've got yet, but
hey man, work in progress. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a lot of American health and fitness and medical people that I'm connected with.
That's great.
Not a huge amount, but more quantity than quality. Rather, more quality than
quality. Yeah, absolutely. You know what, man? That's key. That's key.
Yeah.
You got to build your team.
That's it, man. That's it.
That's great.
Great. Well, Dai, the last thing, just to make sure anyone, we'll have your information in show notes, but for people that are listening to this, a lot of people might be driving or they might be at the gym and they want to find you. What's the simplest way for people that want to connect with you online?
Sure. Well, my blog's a good hub, which is just DaiManuel.com, and it's DaiManuel.com. Otherwise, moosesloose.com. That's just a domain redirect. It's a long story, but my nickname CrossFit community is Moose.
Right.
I run like a moose, and if you've ever seen one of those run, nothing graceful about it. I'm not a runner, but so that's an easy way. But if you're looking for an instant, hey, Twitter's great. And I got a phone, and if I don't get back to you right away, don't worry, I will get back to you. So reach out to me anyway. I'm on every social media platform out there. I monitor them all personally. I'm all about helping and connecting. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Fantastic. Dai. Well, hey, a great pleasure and wonderful to connect with you. And we'll definitely be staying in contact. And
awesome.
We'll, if we can ever do anything for you, also let us know.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Dan. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure, man. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, man.